Too many people are sexually assaulted, and way too often at ages that they can't even consciously remember, but it still affects them daily as grown adults in a harmful way, and they almost always know that something is off. Something happened. That's why I feel called to share my story of how a man at my church, interestingly enough, assaulted me when I was 3 years old, how I remembered it clear as day 26 years later, how I found out that the preacher at the church tried to cover it up, and how I am healing myself from it and actually empowering myself through it because it happens to the best of us. And we need to talk about these things and work through them instead of keeping it down, never talking about it because we're ashamed and understandably very uncomfortable talking about how it even happened in the first place. It might be dangerous for some people to even talk about it. If you or someone you know has gone through this, listen to this all the way through and send it to someone who may need to hear it. Let's turn this pain into power. Welcome to another episode of Shattering Reality. I am your host, Sabrina Weibel, and on this podcast, we break through the common limitations of modern reality and expand your thinking as we delve into topics of quantum physics, spirituality, channeling, and much more. Nothing is off the table as we work to uncover human behavior and the secret powers of the mind and universe through discussing esoteric and sometimes controversial topics. If you are taking away anything from this podcast, the best way to show your love is to leave a 5-star review and share it with a friend so that more people can hear these topics. And with that being said, let's get into it. I never thought that I would share this, but I think more women and men need to be educated on how to heal themselves through sexual trauma because unfortunately, way too many people go through it. And at such a young age that you don't even know what's going on yet. But it still impacts your nervous system, your body, your subconscious. Like it reeks into the different areas of your life and it sucks. Your subconscious mind and your body remembers and it knows that something is off. But maybe you don't quite know what it is, or maybe you know something happened, but you don't know who, or the details are blurred. Or maybe you know exactly what happened, and there is so much shame around that topic that you don't tell anyone out of fear of being called a liar or being seen as gross or disgusting or just out of not feeling safe in your own body and feeling uncomfortable as a whole. Our sexuality, especially as women, as we are the creators of life, but men too, our sexuality is so sacred. It is so powerful. And it has been so shamed and tainted and twisted where we lose the purity and the potency and the power behind it. So today I want to talk about healing sexual trauma as it's a bit of a taboo topic. No one wants to publicly share their own shit. So I will. This is a trigger warning that I'll drop here. If it wasn't obvious from the title of the episode, I will not be getting graphic with it, but for the purpose to share how I've been healing through it, for the purpose of bringing these things to light, because the more we keep them in the dark, the more it breeds shame and embarrassment and dark energy. And the more people become victims of this, and the more people become offenders of it. This all got brought to light in a subconscious healing session that I was doing with my great friend now and healer, Aru. Aru is from Kazakhstan, and I met her when I lived in Bali last summer. We immediately clicked when I met her, and we started to exchange our services, both being energy and subconscious healers in our own way. And it's been over a year now. And despite our time differences, as now I'm back in the US, she's back in Kazakhstan, we're not in Bali together anymore, we still religiously meet up on Zoom almost every single week to do a session, like a deep dive session on one or the other, because these healings go so freaking deep and they've been insanely healing for the both of us. Now, the subconscious mind, we have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind holds on to all memories that you have ever experienced, all belief systems, all pieces of your identity. It stores everything in like a file cabinet in your brain. And even if you cannot consciously remember something, your subconscious mind has stored it all in files. Now, I was doing a healing session with Aru, and it was my turn. And I was like, I don't even have anything like that's really bothering that much, but I am about to do this photo shoot, and it's a guy who's going to be taking the photos of me. And I felt a little uncomfortable with that already, just feeling uncomfy around a man taking photos of you. And also, I always had this perception or this belief that like I just wasn't pretty on camera. Like I could never really feel beautiful on camera when I would look at photos. I would always just feel ugly, if I'm being very transparent and very just honest about what was coming up for me. And so I said, this is probably going to be the most superficial session that we've ever had, but I want to feel beautiful when I'm having these photos taken of me. I want to feel comfortable behind the camera and having someone take photos of me. I want to feel good. And so she was like, all right, girl, let's do it. Let's hop on. Let's dive deeper. And as we start to dive deeper into why I feel so uncomfortable, why I feel like I look so ugly, I don't feel beautiful, I started to feel very uncomfortable. And in these sessions, you have your eyes closed, and I don't want this to sound scary because it's not at all, but you're almost in a hypnotic state and you're just speaking through whatever first comes to mind. You're speaking in these deep dive sessions, you're speaking more from your subconscious versus your conscious mind. And so I'm going deeper and deeper, and I'm like, I don't know why I feel so like gross right now. I just feel disgusting. And I got up and I literally started to gag. I was hovering over my toilet. The Zoom call was open on my desk in the bedroom, and I went to the bathroom hovering over the toilet, gagging and gagging. And I came back and I was like, I don't know what is up. I feel so disgusting. So we went even deeper. And when I tell you, I'm sitting in my chair at my desk and I'm feeling like my entire body is just clenching up and my hands are gripping the sides of the chair. And she's asking more questions, and I'm, speaking the first things that are coming to mind. And then I don't say anything for a while. And she's like, Sabrina, what's going on? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What's coming through? Or is nothing coming through? Do we need to redirect? And I'm like, H3. And she's like, what about H3? And I'm just silent. And she goes, do you remember something? And I just broke down in tears, like sobbing. And she goes, Sabrina, what happened? Tell me, what's going on? Fill me in. And I think I was crying, like sobbing for like minutes before I could even speak. And I said, I know that someone sexually assaulted me. I know I was sexually assaulted at age 3. It was like this knowing that came through as we dove deeper into the questions. And I couldn't tell you what the questions were. I genuinely don't remember because it's been some time. And when you're in those sessions, you're just very deep in them. And she said, what else are you getting from it? And the purpose of diving deeper into it is to unravel and to uncover deep traumas or deep memories that hold a very significant emotional charge, so that it can be released from your nervous system, released from your DNA patterns, released from your subconscious mind, released from your energy field. And you feel 10,000, 20,000 times lighter when you get out of it. And so we're diving deeper into it again with experience, with training, with knowledge about this stuff. And she's saying, Sabrina, tell me more. What do you see? What can you remember? And I'm getting these flashes of images. I'm seeing like this salt and pepper hair, like black hair and like white or gray strands. I'm seeing glasses. I'm seeing facial hair, like a mustache. And so I'm telling her, and I'm so uncomfortable that I don't even want to like say what I'm seeing. I'm still like clenching this chair, still sobbing my eyes out just because I'm not even consciously processing what's going on at this moment. My body is just like processing. And this is not like my body being traumatized. It's my body finally processing the emotional damage that occurred at that age. And my body did not know how to process what had happened at that age, that it kept it in my nervous system, in my little baby girl nervous system, and it kept it there, contracting my nervous system, affecting the memory of my body, which I'll go into this later. But I want to explain the purpose of why it had to get so dark and intense for a moment in order for it to get better. Because this is not me intentionally traumatizing myself at all. This is digging it up to dig it out because it was in there stored in my body. And I'll go deeper into this later. But I'm telling her the flashes of images that I see. And she goes, "Who is it?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't recognize him. And she's like, "Sabrina, your subconscious mind," she gives me this reminder. She said, "Your subconscious mind stores all information." She said, "Who is this man?" And I'm so uncomfortable. I don't even want to, like, as I'm experiencing it, I don't even want to think about it. I don't want to see this. I don't want to feel this. And I just tell her the same thing. I don't know. I don't recognize him. And she doesn't push it. She just says, "Okay." We work to process it. We were in that session for a very long time. And I'll give a brief overview of kind of what we did, the main points that we got to heal it subconsciously, just to note it. But as we're in the session, so it came up, right? I needed to allow my nervous system to heal it, to feel it, to process it. Almost like a tuning fork, when a tuning fork like gets hit and it has to like rattle before it calms down. That's kind of like my nervous system was. It needed to rattle and it needed to process and calm down. And so allowing that to just go through my body, allowing myself to feel it, as uncomfortable as it may be. When you feel the emotions are energy in motion. That energy is allowed to flow through and out of your body, versus when you feel an emotion come up and you suppress it, the energy of that emotion is then suppressed in the body. And this is how traumas stay in the body. Because truly you can go through, and I say this with so much love because there may be some of you listening that are like, "No way, Sabrina, in hell can I ever heal myself from this." I say this with so much love. You can go through any traumatic event and be able to heal from it fully, and not only heal yourself from it fully, but actually rise higher from it. And so back to the session, essentially allowed my nervous system to heal it, to feel it, to go through it. Then what we did in the psyche is we visualize. I'm totally working in my visualizations in my subconscious mind. And I visualize bringing it to Justice. She asks me, like, going back to that point in time, I'm 3 years old, what do I want to do or say at that time? And I was feeling so angry and upset, hurt and disgusted. So totally disgusted. And it was so interesting. Now I'm like reflecting on it, I actually did not know at that time, consciously, I did not know at that time, oh, I'm getting chills as I say this, that this man was a man that went to church with us as a kid. But at the time of the healing session, I didn't recognize him consciously. I didn't know who it was. And bringing Justice in the healing session, I'm visualizing, she said, "What do you need to do to bring this to Justice?" And I naturally, what came to mind was, I took this man who I still did not consciously recognize, and we brought him to the front of like the church auditorium. And I was telling Aru, I was like, I brought him to the stage and I'm telling everyone, this whole audience, his whole friends and family are there, everyone's there, and everyone gets to know that this grown ass man, I was so pissed. You can hear in my voice, I'm still pissed. This grown ass man sexually assaulted a toddler, 3 years old. You gotta be fucking kidding me. And so that was part of the justice, bringing it to justice. And I visualized having him on stage, me with a microphone, telling everyone what he did, and then him being slaughtered on stage, and then a huge banner being put up outside. This man assaulted a toddler at 3 years old. And at that time, I visualized it being at the church, and I didn't even put the two and two together. I didn't even recognize it. I just recognized that it was a stage. And so we do all of that. We go through the inner psyche to help bring it to justice and help give me just some relief. And we were in that session for so long. And I finally get to a point where it's starting to feel more neutral. Definitely not all the way, but I'm so emotionally exhausted. I was crying and screaming into pillows during the session. Sometimes when you feel the emotion, you want to feel it, as I explained. And so sometimes you literally like grab a pillow and you like scream into the pillow. And then, oh my God, the anger, the frustration goes from like 10 to like a 3. So it helps a lot. And so I'm doing all of that. And I'm so exhausted. This is maybe like 2.5 hours or something into the session. And I'm like, I can't do anymore. I'm tapped out. And Aru's like, something this deep has never come through a session before. We do these deep subconscious healings and we've been doing them together for like a year. And we're both, not to toot our own horns, but we're both very good at being able to go very deep with each other. And nothing this deep had come up for either of us before. And where it was like, we didn't even know that existed. And Aru is on the other side of the Zoom call on my laptop. And she's like, are you okay? Are you going to be okay? And thankfully, I've had years of processing very dark emotions, processing very big emotions, and regulating my nervous system through it. So I told her, like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm equipped with the tools. I just need time to process. I just need time to let this sit. And she's like, okay, like, text me if you need anything. I'm right here. Love her to death. And so we get off the call. And that day, I took the call that morning. And that day, I had a full day of plans. I had to run errands. I was actually going through a lot at that time because my mom had just stopped her chemotherapy because it was giving her such bad side effects that it caused her to not be able to walk anymore. And so after I ran my errands, I was spending the day with her as she was just kind of like stuck in bed, and I was doing my best to keep her spirits lifted. And so I was busy like back to back with that. I got home, I was exhausted, I passed out. Next day, I had plans back to back. And the second night came around, and I'm in the shower, winding down, and I finally get some time to just clear my head and actually process. And honestly, having back to back plans for a while was, I think, good for me, just to keep me distracted for a bit, because I had processed so much in those 2.5 hours and had so much come up for me where I think I needed to be distracted for a bit in order to come back to it from a more grounded space. So anyway, I'm in the shower, finally having some time to clear my head, and I just hear Aru's voice in my head. Subconscious mind knows who did it. And I'm seeing these flashes of that man's features again in my head, seeing his glasses, seeing his salt and pepper hair, seeing his facial hair and his mustache. And I'm not even trying to think about it because I'm like so disgusted at this man that it happened. I felt so gross in my body, and I want to talk about this later too. I just felt so gross in my body knowing that this man did that to me at such a young age. And these flashes of images are just coming to the surface naturally as the brain processes these kinds of things. So I'm trying to just breathe through it and not suppress it, because I know it's needed to be healed and released from my system. And I'm thinking to myself, like, who is this man? Like, who even is this? And then I switch to, like, I don't even want to think about this. And then I think, like, who is this though? And then the name pops right into my head. And as the name of this man pops into my head, I thought to myself, no way. I barely even remember this guy. The man's name who popped in my head, he went to my church and he was a grown man as I was a child. And he was part of such a faint memory of my brain. I remembered his wife way more than I remembered him. He was just in the background. But my mom was besties with his wife, and his wife was so sweet and so like loving towards my family. Like, we loved her. Like, we still might mention her like in the family from time to time, be like, yeah, like, she's so sweet, we love her. And so I'm thinking, like, is that really him? And I get out of the shower and I'm just like questioning, like, am I just making this up in my head? Like, is this even real? But pointer, because the story will go on, pointer, don't gaslight yourself. Your brain and body know, and they remember. And unfortunately, this happens to too many people. So I didn't even want to do this because I didn't even want to think about it. I still felt so disgusted, but I'm so curious that I tried to look this man up on Facebook to see if his face really matches the images coming up in my brain. Because again, I barely remember this man. And it was so odd that that was a name that popped in my head, because he did feel so irrelevant. And so I tried to look him up and I can't find his Facebook. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever. I'm not even going to try. I don't even want to think about this. I go back to journaling under the moon because that's one of my favorite things to do. I was out on the balcony. And as I distract myself, a few minutes go by. And it was as if there was a telegram in my brain. The exact spelling of this man's name popped into my head like a telegram. I didn't ask for it. Like, shit, I didn't even want to know, honestly. But again, my brain and body knew. And it was telling me who it was for a reason. And I was like, no fucking way. I was spelling his name wrong when I was looking him up. So I grab my phone and I look up the correct spelling exactly the way that it was spelled out in my head. And his wife's Facebook pops right up. And there he was, exactly like the flashes of images that I saw. Salt and pepper hair, glasses, mustache and facial hair. That was him. And I waited until the next day to tell one of my sisters because I'm still processing. And I was finally at home for the day and could actually process what the fuck I just revealed about my past. And I tell her, and logically, I'm still in my logic brain double guessing myself. Am I just making this up? Is this the truth? Like, God forbid I'm that person that says someone sexually assaulted me and they didn't actually do it, and then gives all other future women a bad rep and increases their chances of not being taken seriously when they really did have those horrible things happen to them. And so I'm like double guessing my brain, and I tell my sister, and then my sister told me something that I had no idea of. She said that there was a girl that went to church with us growing up and knew that someone had wrongly touched her when she was in the nursery. We had a nursery part of the church where all the young babies and toddlers would go. And it would usually be like a parent or a couple or some adults that would just be volunteer to take care of the babies while the other adults were in service. And this girl said that she knew that someone had wrongly touched her in the nursery, but didn't know who it was. And she was trying to find justice. And this girl, she went to the pastor. Now, this is back in time, but she went to the pastor about what she felt like happened. And she asked for a list of the names of the men who were watching over the babies in the nursery from the specific years that she knew that she was in the nursery. And what the pastor at the church did with this information is he had a meeting with all of the deacons at the church and said, I'm going to get rid of all of the papers of all of the information of who was in the nursery at that time. And no one's going to talk about it. No one's going to know. I'm getting rid of any evidence. He did not want the church to have any kind of bad reputation. And who knows if he also was personally involved in it, because there were multiple men who were involved at the end of the day. And he tried to hide that this even happened. Part of me honestly wants to say fuck it and reveal their names just right on this podcast episode. But these people know who they are, and karma damn well will be served. And the way that this girl, the way that she found out that the pastor had did this was the youth pastor at that time ended up going up to the girl and telling her what had happened. And he was actually a good man. And he said, I can't believe this just happened. I'm leaving the church. This man had a son who is about our age, and him and his son, his wife, they left the church completely. And I remember being young and remember, that family leaving and thinking like, oh, I wonder where they left. Years later, I had no idea this was happening behind the scenes. I was so shocked. And my sister said, you should reach out to that girl and let her know and see if it's somehow related. So I go and message the girl on Facebook, and I told her what had happened, and I gave her the name of the man. And she said that she has still not been able to find out who that man was specifically that she was looking for, who wrongly touched her. But she said this was not the first time that the man's name that I brought up has came up before, because she has talked to other girls that it happened to at the church as well. And at that moment, I knew that I was not just making it up. It wasn't a figment of my imagination. It wasn't me being dramatic or making stories. It happened. It happened, and my subconscious mind revealed it. My body knew. And you know what's so crazy is, as I was reflecting on this, I had memories of, when I was young, I was maybe like 7, alone with one of my older brothers. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable to be alone with one of my older brothers. And I remember thinking to myself, I was aware at that age, this is strange that I feel uncomfortable to be around him. Why do I feel uncomfortable to be around him? But it was because my nervous system, my body knew it is not safe to be around older boys, older men. You will be wrongly touched. Even if I did not consciously remember at age 3 that this is wrong, my body and nervous system contracted. It knew at that level that this is not safe. This is not a good feeling. And it contracted and affected my nervous system for the rest of my life until now, as I've been healing through it on a very deep level. I remember being alone with my dad in the car when I was like 9 and feeling that same uncomfortable feeling. Why do I feel uncomfortable to be alone with my dad? My dad never did anything, but it was because I was wrongly touched by that man when I was 3 years old. And I wasn't just pissed off that this happened to me. I was more so pissed and so angry at the fact that I knew I was not the only one, that I knew that there were so many other little girls and potentially little boys who were wrongly touched in this way, who were because I know how much it negatively impacts you in so many different ways, who were negatively affected in these ways. And all of those people who don't even have the tools to process it, to work through it, to understand it. They're just like, I don't mean to sound like dire, but they're just like forever fucked. And it makes me so angry to know that a grown ass man would do this to like a baby. And so for the next 3 days after that, I was pretty stunned, to say the least. I could barely focus. I was like crying in bed all day, type of stunned. I felt so much disgust. I felt so much sadness. I felt so much anger, like being pulled through my body. And I knew I needed to process it. I knew I needed to feel it, to heal it, to roll with the waves. So I intentionally gave myself the permission to take time off of work to feel through all of the emotions that I was going through. I journaled on how absolutely disgusted that I was, how pissed off that I was that a grown ass man was doing this to a toddler, reflecting on how I was so uncomfortable around men for my entire life, specifically and especially older men. And now I finally understood why. It wasn't random. It wasn't because an older man gave me a creepy look. It was because I was assaulted and my body remembered. I let myself rage. I let myself cry. I let myself journal. I let myself feel. And I'm sharing this to really share the importance of it because these are really uncomfortable emotions, or it's very difficult to process and feel through these things. The only way out is through. The only way to get through it is to feel through it. And I promise you, when you go through the dark trenches, you will see light. But if you try to suppress it, you'll always have that gnawing underlying feeling of something's off. You will always feel contracted in your body. You'll never feel fully like free and comfortable. And I'm processing it with Aru, and I'm telling her, I just can't wrap my head around how this grown ass man took my purity when I was 3 years old. And she said something that really resonated. And I want to share it in this podcast episode. She said, no one can take your purity. No man, no person, no thing can take your purity. What is it? That whole saying of someone takes your virginity. What is someone taking from you? What is someone taking from you? No one's taking anything from you. If we take a step aside from the sexual assault perspective and we just look at, sex as an act, and you have sex for the first time, no boy, no man is taking anything from you. You're having an experience. If anything, you're gaining an experience. No one's taking anything from you. That is a very fucked up patriarchal way of thinking. That's someone taking your virginity. No one's taking anything from you. And no one's taking your purity. And this really allowed me to free myself from that idea, from that perception, from that belief that this dirty man took my purity, because he didn't. He did not. He did not take anything from me. Being pure, it's a frequency. It's an energy. And if anything, I have gained so much purity later on in life, healing myself from any sexual trauma that I may have gone through, and really bringing my sexuality to a place of purity, to a place of only exchanging myself sexually with a man who truly, truly, deeply loves me and sees me and respects me. Never doing any act that makes me feel uncomfortable, always feeling safe with a man, and bringing that back to purity. And I do feel, especially just in general, but particularly for women and men who have gone through sexual trauma, to bring yourselves back to purity. Like, what does that even look like to you? That I'm not necessarily saying like, okay, you have to not have sex till marriage, and if that floats your boat, that floats your boat. I know that does not resonate with everyone, but where might you be betraying yourself in sexual relations with yourself, with others? Where may your body be telling you, I'm uncomfortable, but you still do something because you want to please someone, because you think you should, because you think you have to, because you feel obligated? Where are you disrespecting your own boundaries? That is the type of like bringing yourself back to purity, what I'm referring to, and bringing your body to a place where it can feel really safe and free and open to explore again because it knows that it is not going to get betrayed by others and by you. Because unfortunately, a lot of times when someone goes through something like this, we then get caught in cycles of betraying ourselves because that's what we know, that's what we're used to, and that's what might feel safe to us. So, something to think about for yourself. And I'll go on with my story. So, after about the third day of fully allowing myself to go deep with it, and I was in the trenches. After about that third day, I felt the clouds part. I saw the light. Like I just hit a cloud nine of feeling at peace, of feeling relaxed. Oh my God. Like my nervous system, that's how I know I deeply healed myself. And I'm still working through the remnants of it. But on a deep nervous system level, after I processed it for a few days, my nervous system has never felt that relaxed in my entire fucking life. I woke up and I was like, I have never felt better, literally in my entire life, since I was before 3 years old, because my nervous system was contracted ever since then. From that point, it is so crazy how intelligent our bodies and minds are. So freaking crazy, because it just stores so much information. It just knows so much. Our DNA even stores so much information from our ancestors. If you did not know this, it's actually science-backed now. Science proves it. The studies prove it now. But our DNA does hold information and fears from our ancestors. And unfortunately, these sexual traumas can also be passed down generationally. And it's so important to, especially if you are someone who has gone through sexual trauma and you did not get the luxury of being able to have the tools and process and heal yourself from it before you had kids, and even just in general, it's so important to pass down these healing codes, these healing tools, and the knowledge of what to look out for, the knowledge, and not to at all, do not program fear into your children and say, look out for this. Don't ever the frequency, the energy behind the words you say is what impacts your kids more than the actual words themselves. Trust me on this one. I've done so many subconscious healings on people, and so many times we go back to their past, and it wasn't even what their parents said to them. It was the emotions. And also, don't blame yourself for this. It's the emotions behind the words that they're saying is what impacted them. It was the frequency, it was the energy that was transferred during certain points in time that really affected a child's programming, that really affected a child's belief systems and the way that they saw the world. And so be mindful of that when you're communicating to your children. Come from a place of love. Come from a place of, you are safe. You can be safe. You will be safe. You are energetically protected. Here's what you can do to energetically protect yourself. Here's what you can do to process these things. God forbid, we say God forbid to cancel out any negativities that we might put out there. God forbid any of this might happen, because unfortunately, at this point in time, it is way too fucking common. Again, which is why I'm open to sharing this very vulnerable story of myself, because more people need to talk about it, and more people need to have the tools, and more people just need to understand the perspectives of how you can heal yourself. And I digress. I was not even planning on sharing any of this, but as I was going through my own healing process weeks later, because it kind of, went up and down in waves of oh, I feel on cloud nine. I've never felt better in my life. And then the following day, I was feeling contracted, feeling triggered. Something came up on TV of this old man. Oh, the media is so infiltrated with this stuff. It's like poison to our brains. But something in passing of a scene of a movie where an old man was doing something to a younger woman in the movie, and it triggered me so bad to the point where like I thought I was going to have a panic attack. Like after going through such an intense tuning fork nervous system calibration to hitting that cloud nine and then seeing that on the TV, which I really believe was like a divine interference in order for me to continue to like uproot and continue to really process it. But I went straight to my bedroom where I could be alone and in like my own safe space, and I had to sit on the bed and just really focus on my breath and calm and regulate my nervous system down and clear out my mind from the thoughts. And when the images of what I had just seen on the TV, which was not even graphic, but it was the concept that was behind it that was very triggering for me, those images would flash in my brain, and I would just take a deep breath through them and just process the heavy emotions that were flowing through me. So I had the ups and downs of the waves after that, and I still had been going through it, and there's still remnants of it. And I was doing EFT. If you're not familiar with it, it's called Emotional Freedom Technique. And what it is you tap on specific meridian points on your face and body that help to release and rewire emotions. It's so powerful. It's been used to heal veterans from PTSD, heal people from depression, OCD, obsessions, addictions, depression, if I didn't say that already, anxiety, so many things. And I was using EFT and doing EFT, tapping on these meridian points as I was processing the emotions that came up from these experiences, because that experience when I was 3, that was just the beginning of it. Something happened again when I was around 8 years old from my family doctor. Guy tried to rape me when I was 19. Thankfully, God bless, I ended up getting away, and he ended up getting charged years later for raping someone else. And that's just the beginning of it. I could go on and on and on about the different times that I've been sexually assaulted. And unfortunately, if you're listening to this, you may also have multiple stories of the same things happening to you. And so I'm doing EFT and I'm processing and trying to clear all the emotional shit that came up with this. And I thought to myself, how can I bring good out of this? Out of every bad thing that happens, every dark thing that happens, there is equal light. I thought to myself, where the fuck is the light? Where do I see any good that can come from this? So I started brainstorming, how can I bring light into this? And what comes to mind is, one, I am going to fiercely protect not only my children, but children in general. Any children. Energetically protect them as I pass by, just sending them like my love and protection. Again, from that good and holy place and energy, not from a place of fear. And also knowing the signs to look out for the men who do these kinds of things. And I kept thinking, how else can I bring light into this? And something that really stuck with me was, I need to share my story so that others can hear it and others can find healing in their own stories. And also share the light of how we can continue to not only heal ourselves, but when we heal ourselves, we can pass this to our sisters, to our cousins, to our kids. We heal families, we heal communities, and then it ripple effects, and we heal cities, we heal countries. And what I'm getting at is we can heal the world through healing ourselves. And do your best to channel your emotions in healthy ways. Feel it, but don't let yourself lash out on people. Don't let yourself I talk about screaming into a pillow. Scream into your pillow, punch into your pillow, but don't scream at other people and take it out on them if they may not understand. Because at the end of the day, they're where they are at and you are where you are at. And it's okay if they don't understand. You don't need to prove anything to them, but it may be beneficial for you to find people who can empathize with you. And what I'm about to say next might be a hard pill to swallow, so please stay with me here. Some of you may understand, some of you might hear this next part and just feel so much rage. But I'm saying this next part for a purpose, to heal this disgusting act at the root cause of it. As someone who studies human behavior and who understands the depths of the psyche of someone, why a person will do what they do, and the energetics behind everything, I got curious on why these sex offenders do this in the first place. And there truly is always a reason behind why someone is the way that they are. I will say this about 98 to 99% of people. There might be that 1 to 2% of people who don't qualify for this. And this is not easy for me to say, but I do have the belief that all people are good. People may act in fucked up ways when they have experienced fucked up things, when they have been introduced and exposed to fucked up energies and belief systems of other people. I truly believe that there is such a spiritual warfare right now on tainting sex because, like I said at the beginning of this, sexual energy is one of the, if not the most powerful force of nature that exists in this universe. Sexual energy is what creates life, not just babies, but births, like creation in general, ideas. The energy that flows through your body, it's immensely healing to your nervous system, to your heart. Like it brings so much like physical benefits. Like there's so much positivity and beauty and power and purity and potency at the heart of sexual energy. And that is exactly why I believe that it's also being intentionally painted in very negative ways. If you just think about media, movies, shows, songs on mainstream that are playing on the radio all the time, how normalized porn is, like, what the fuck is up with all of this? It's so skewed. It's being so tainted. Everything is being so sexualized, and not in a beautiful, healthy way. It's being sexualized in like a disgusting, like demeaning way. And the narratives that were being portrayed just in the drama shows, sleeping around, sleeping with multiple people, having not to say that you do not respect yourself if you decide to sleep with other people in a nonchalant way, but often, and I say this with so much love, often when you are nonchalant about your sexual energy, it's deeply rooted in not having respect for yourself. Because I'm telling you, when you do have a deep, profound love and respect for yourself, you're not going to want to give your sexual energy to just anyone. Absolutely not. Your energy deeply entangles with whoever you're sharing that sexual energy with. And if you knew the power of that, you would not be handing your energy out, and you would not be taking in all of these rando strangers, who the fuck is this type dicks energy, their trauma, their beliefs, their shit that they've got going on. You're taking in everything when you're having sexual interactions with them. And it's being portrayed like that all over media, all over. You see like cheating all the time in these shows, you hear it on songs, you see it portrayed all across media. Like, we are constantly being programmed and infiltrated with these ideas, with these beliefs that, oh, this is how a lot of relationships are. They just sleep around. This is how I have to be accepted. I have to do this. All these men are talking about how women do X, Y, and Z. I have to do X, Y, and Z in order for this man to like me. No, the fuck you don't. No, the fuck you don't. Absolutely not. You get to define what you feel good in, what feels good to you. You get to define the boundaries of your sexual relations. And you know what? Women hold the fucking power here. You have a lot of fucking say, honestly. Don't think that you don't. Especially who you're giving yourself access to. If the women held their own, okay, if we held our own, and if we said, I'm not giving my sexual energy to someone who's disrespecting me, I'm not giving my sexual energy or my attention or my focus, for that fucking matter, you're not getting any of my energy. If you're disrespecting me, if you're not making me feel safe, if you think that I have to do XYZ in order to please you, but it doesn't feel safe in my body, it doesn't feel comfortable to me, it doesn't feel good to me, I'm not going to do that. If all the women held their own, men would have to shape up because the men need women. Women don't need men. It's the men that need the women. The women are the ones who have the creation power. We have the intuitive powers. We're the ones who bring the life into the man's life. We bring the life. And if we held our own, more and more men would shape up. If we continue to raise our standards of what we expect in terms of having respect, in terms of never laying a finger in a harmful way on anyone, teaching our brothers that, teaching our cousins that, teaching our sons that. It's so important to teach our sons the way to respect a woman, a girl, a mother, a grandmother. The more the women hold these high standards, the more the men have to rise. And a lot of the root cause, a lot of this shit is the men doing this to the women. And don't think that you don't have any say in this and that you don't have any power in this. Because if you are alive on this earth, you damn well do. You have the fucking power. No, you cannot control someone else, but you can damn control your own energy and your own standards and what you accept into your life and how you choose to handle things. And doing so and raising those standards for yourself, you automatically inspire and raise the standards of the women around you, inspire and raise the standards of the men that surround you. And again, that ripple effects. I don't want to say that the men who have done these disgusting acts, and women, I don't want to just put it on men. There are women who have done this to other girls and boys. Boys have definitely been victims of this. And honestly, a lot of guys may feel even more uncomfortable speaking up on it because of the strange dynamics that were being portrayed in society and over media right now. I don't want to say that these people who are causing these disgusting acts are innocent by any means, but to understand that they are the way that they are because they were infiltrated with some kind of experience or belief system that made them that way. And we need to start bringing this energy of purity out into the world. And again, what does that look like to you? I remember when I was just, how old was I? Maybe I was 17 or 18, maybe 16, working at this restaurant. And the older girls at this restaurant were talking about their relationships with their boyfriends. And it was like, these were still young women, 19, and they had so many sex toys, so many vibrators, so many things in which they were to perform in bed with their partner. And it made, like, at that young woman age, I felt like I was under all of this pressure to perform. And this is part of the like tainted way that our society just is. Like, you don't have to do any of that. What does purity look like to you? So much of that is like, when you think of the energy of where you're coming from, when you decide to do those types of things, more often than not, it's not coming from a place of pure energy. It's coming from a place of like overindulgence, which does not feel, it feels like, it doesn't feel good in the body. As far as if you like overindulge in a giant family size bag of Doritos, I know because I've done that plenty of times when I was younger. It feels good in the moment, right? You're like, you're addicted. Then afterwards, you feel like shit. That's that type of overindulgence. It doesn't feel good in the long run. And you may not notice that in the moment or be very aware of how it makes you feel after. But just start tuning into yourself. What is the energy in which I'm saying yes to these things? What is the energy in which this desire is coming from? Is it coming from like a pure, like genuine, I have so much love and respect for my partner that I want to do this. I want to do X, Y, and Z. I have this like pure desire in my heart to do X, Y, and Z. Or is it coming from that place of overindulgence and what you may think you have to do? I so badly wanted, and sometimes still do want, to blast that man's name out into the public. of what he did to me, of what he did to other girls, of what the pastor did, of what just happened in that church in general. Like, what the, like, how many, don't even get me back into it. But at the same time, for me, what resonates most with me in this moment is to control what I can control with myself, become empowered within myself, bring healing within myself, and know that their karma is coming for them. Whether it's coming to them now, they're already experiencing it, whether they're going to experience it later in life, whether they're going to experience it in their next life. I trust that their karma is coming to them. And I can have that understanding that they are the way that they are for some reason. And it does not do me any good to hold on to a grudge. Because what does holding on to a grudge do? You're holding that nasty, disgusting energy inside of your body towards this other person. You're not in any wrong for wanting to hold a grudge at all. But know that if you are holding on to a grudge, it's doing more harm than good. Because now that disgusting energy is still living within you. You're still not purified from whoever did that to you. And fuck that. I want to be as pure as fucking possible. And so I have been working on, and it's not been easy, but forgiving the man and the other men who were involved for what they did, with the understanding that they are the way that they are because of something, and with the understanding that forgiving just to release this energy from me. I don't want to hold on to this. I don't want to hold on to the anger. I don't want to hold on to the bitterness. I do not want to hold on to the disgust. Oh, and you know what was so interesting? This was just a reflection. I went to Aru for that session originally because I did not feel beautiful behind the camera. And also, I low key felt uncomfortable with a guy taking photos of me as a photographer. He was a friend of a friend, and I've done photo shoots with him before. Still, I felt that uncomfy feeling in my body. But the beauty thing, what we discovered as we were going through that session was that I subconsciously made a correlation that if I was beautiful, then I was going to get taken advantage of. And so I subconsciously, again, outside of my conscious awareness, but we discovered this as we went deeper, that I did not want to see myself as beautiful because beautiful equaled dangerous. And that just made so much sense to me. I had struggled my entire life not feeling beautiful, always seeing photos of myself and just feeling like, ugh. And as a woman, you should feel so beautiful. Women are goddesses. Women are goddesses. We have so much natural beauty and feminine energy glowing from us. We should feel beautiful and we should own that. But that is something that I am also now integrating. Waves come of me still feeling angry and uncomfortable in some type of way towards men. And I'm working on that because men, there are so many good and respectful and amazing and incredible and safe men out there. So many. And we should not put men in a box that men are not safe. We should not say that because there's so many great, amazing men out there. And the more that we see more men in that light, the more we create that, the more we can speak life into men. Again, women, we hold so much power. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't think that you can't do nothing. You have so much power. The more that you speak life into men and you expect men to show up in this higher want to fill our needs. And so integrating being able to feel more safe around men, of course, while being smart about everything, and also integrating feeling really comfortable and really beautiful as me and in my body because you deserve to. So I pray that this episode brings you some kind of healing, expanded awareness just on the situation itself, and that you're able to share it with a friend, a loved one, a coworker who may need to hear it. Because the more people that can access the ways in which they can heal themselves from it and understand depths to how it impacts us and how to process it and what to do in the future to bring more light and life and healing into this world and to make the world a better place. Better. So don't be nervous to send this out. And if you need to re-listen to this to really let it soak in, I encourage you to. Because sometimes we need to hear things 2 or 3 times to really let the perspective shifts sit in our bodies and to feel like we can take what we listen to and walk away with it and create tangible change in our lives. I appreciate you being respectful towards me and me sharing my own vulnerable stories, and also being respectful for the things that I do decide to share, the things that I decide to keep a little more private. If you like the podcast, go ahead and leave a 5-star review and share what you love about it the most. And I will see you in the next episode of Shattering Reality.